this episode of Dad is Not a Noun. I want to thank today's sponsor, the Real Dads Network, 11th annual Real Dads Network Daddy Daughter Dance. When we empower fathers, we strengthen the family. And no better way to represent this than through a daddy daughter dance, where traditions are carried on and new tradition begins. Get your tickets fast before it sells out for this amazing Girl Dad Gala, the 11th annual Daddy Daughter Dance, February 18th, 2023 in Harlem, New York. Go to the website www.daddydaughter11.eventbrite.com.
Give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, hopping down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Right, you're back.
Yep, back. Well, that's technology.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You gotta love technology.
Yep.
But yeah, finish what you were saying about you had the different groups coming together, the different foods that with Hemings.
Yeah, well, that was the critical thing that went with Hemings to Paris was that fusion of the West African ethnic groups that were all congregated in Virginia, along with the tradition of English, Irish, and Scottish Welsh cooking that, Native American cooking was added to that, and a little bit of other European countries, German and French, etc. But that was the fusion that the Africans took, and then they spun their magic and created an incredibly flavorful cuisine. They took a regional cooking and created a cuisine. Ironically, that was the first regional went from Virginia plantation houses and taken to the first urban center, Philadelphia, by Hercules Posey and James Hemings and people like him and other enslaved cooks. But they took that fine Virginia plantation cooking, which was the finest in America, and they took it to an urban setting, first in Philadelphia and then to New York. And that was the cooking that James Hemings took to Paris and fused that with French cuisine to create a fusion, the first fusion of French cooking. Okay, and it's the fusion that was the basis of the training that the grand dame of Southern cooking, the late Edna Lewis, she, the white folks were like, oh, well, how did you learn these fine French recipes? She said, well, my mama and them cooked it. And I was blessed that in my life, I was able to attend one of her, what was called a hunt breakfast at Middleton Place Plantation in South Carolina. And took me for a long walk on the plantation because I was clashing with the young white man who was, had insulated himself in her, and at the time it just rankled me, and she just took me for a walk. She said, "He's a good boy. He's a good boy, and I want you to just understand that." And I got it because I understood that an old woman at the end of her life needed somebody like that, and sometimes that's not your blood family. That's not your blood. I understand it much better now. That and those people become your, and I understand more now than I did then. But the hunt breakfast was so fantastic that the biscuits floated through the
Wow.
air, landed
Wow.
on your plate, slathered themselves with handmade butter that she made, and
Wow.
damson plum jam that she'd put up from the year before. And you were elevated to a spot where it was privilege. It was
Wow.
such a privilege that there's no amount of money that could pay for this. And I was treated to what the legendary piece that the other and the very intended part in the documentary was to really help people understand that fine dining in America was created by enslaved black chefs and and butlers. Okay, and that is something that we're not giving credit for. We're giving credit for, oh, they got some soul food, they had the leftovers, and they created all this stuff, but this is slop stuff, slop, slop, slop. But
Well,
no, no. Fine dining in America was created by enslaved black cooks.
this is good.
Yeah. Just really kind of understanding how that information was shared. Okay. I remember when one of my great aunts were teaching me how to cook mushrooms. And I was looking right in her mouth. And she said, stop looking in my mouth and look at what I'm doing. So
Mm.
don't believe your ears, believe your eyes. Okay,
Mm.
I can say anything, but you can see what I'm doing. So keep focused. And that admonition was key to me
Mm.
just paying attention in general. Okay. And that's how that information disseminated. James Hemings literally, by Jefferson's hand, had to create the first cooking school in America. Nobody
Oh,
talks about that.
no.
Okay, nobody talks about that, but he did. And when Jefferson refused to letter of mission to be the chef at the White House, James Hemings wouldn't go. But his students went. His three
Mm.
students, three women, Ursula Granger, Frances Hearn, and Edith Fawcett. And they went to teach the white French chef that Jefferson hired how to cook James's style of cooking. That's how that went.
Okay.
So I am thrilled to be telling this story. These stories are important, and this is just the first in a trilogy. And I encourage everybody to see Ghost in America's Kitchen by Anthony Burham and Ashbell McElveen, and it's on Amazon Prime now.
Definitely. I recommend you go seeing that. And then before we end the conversation, I know you talked about you felt that James Hennings was murdered because he
Yes.
like when he went to Philadelphia, and which is ironic because that was around the same time that Hercules escaped slavery from George Washington because he was his cook. He escaped and went to
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
Hercules. Yeah,
Yep.
Hercules. But James Hennings went to cook at a tavern in Baltimore. That's where he
Mm.
was. And literally, fresh off the boat from Paris, and he was known as a sharp dresser. So he had the most exquisite clothes available. The finest boots, the finest shirts. Um, and nobody, even the richest white people in Baltimore, had those clothes. So you
Mm.
can imagine a free Baltimore around with those clothes would not have been good. Okay. But for me, to answer the question, I don't think he drank himself to death because every person in colonial America, nobody drank water. Everybody drank spirits, either
Mm.
beer, ale, or wine, or hard spirits. You didn't drink water. So to so uncommon because it's consuming liters of ale every day.
Yeah.
That was your water because the water wasn't safe to drink. You drank ale. So all of these reasons are why I don't feel he committed suicide.
This was, even though we had technical difficulties, but this was an amazing conversation. I definitely want you back on again whenever you have time or whenever you're back to the States. Um, I'm just waiting for that invitation in the mail for dinner. So,
Oh, and you're gonna get you. We're gonna be breaking bread, okay?
yes, sir. I'm waiting for that.
We're gonna be breaking bread. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to hugging my newest godson. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Be safe out there. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much. It was truly an
and God
early
bless
Christmas
you,
gift
and
for
thank
me.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and you as well. You're a gift to me. Bless you.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you.